I'd like to welcome you to this edition of Emu Today TV. Alexa Barron, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Our very first show of the brand new year and the new decade as well.
Yep, it's going to be great.
You looking forward to it?
Yep.
Let's jump right into it. I'd like to welcome our very first guest is Dr. Lewis Hershey, Department Head and Professor of Marketing at Eastern Michigan University's College of Business, and also a very interesting program that the university is getting involved in called the Special Needs Planning and Policy Center. First of all, welcome, and please tell us about the program, about the center.
Thank you. Glad to be here. As far as we know, Eastern Michigan University will be the first college in the entire country to sponsor and launch a Special Needs Planning and Policy Center. Almost every school is involved with developing programs and services for special needs populations, but no one coordinates this with a College of Business to figure out not only how to deliver the best combination of products and services, but how to pay for them over the lifetime of the person with disabilities. So we're very excited to be the first in the country to do that.
Yeah, and tell us, where did the idea come from? How did it get to this point?
About 20 years ago, I was involved as a financial planner, and so I did that on the retail level. Years later, when my daughter was born, at 4 years old, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And then I became, of necessity, interested in figuring out how do we plan for her future. When I moved here, I literally by accident ran into faculty in the College of Health and Human Services who have expertise in this area, including disability law and social work. And we started talking about what we might do together, and we started publishing, and now we're publishing our 8th article and decided that it's time to move that into a center to help the people we're writing about.
Yeah, and that's incredible to find that our university is certainly becoming a leader in that particular field. Do you find a lot of other universities doing something similar?
More on a silo basis. So while we have a center for autism, and it's an excellent center and a lot of resources for families with autistic, mostly children, you'll have those at all of them. Michigan State has them, Michigan, Wayne State. But they're things that tend to stay in the discipline in which they're related. And what we know is it takes 14 different departments to address the needs of people with special needs. Mm-hmm. And that there isn't any overarching communication, coordination, or even more branding of those kinds of ideas so that people on the outside can say, I can go someplace and get comprehensive interdisciplinary answers. And that's exactly what we're going to do for the first time.
So what kind of specific information does the center provide for families who have members with special needs?
We think of ourselves as a clearinghouse. So for example, we will be doing a series of open to the public, I guess, town meetings or open houses where we will invite people in, we will advertise in the local area, we'll do it on radio, we'll do it in print, and we'll do it through internet. And we'll have them come in and it'll be on a specific topic. So for example, our first one will be on a thing called the ABLE Act, passed in December of 2014. And this provides, as you can save for college tax-free, this allows you to save for people with disabilities tax-free. But there are things about that that are both very advantageous and things that could create possible problems for someone. And so we'll help people with special needs and their families learn about how to be aware of those things so that they can work with professionals to do exactly the best thing that's for them.
You know, and as you talk about the special needs, let's hone in on Eastern for a second. Do we have a relatively large special needs population, or is it growing? Is it basically the same? Kind of talk to us about that.
Well, the short answer for the stakeholders in the Ypsilanti community is yes. We have a larger than normal population of people with disabilities. Nationwide, approximately about 25% of the population has one or more disabilities, and some of those disabilities are very severe and some of them are fairly mild. Mm-hmm. That will increase over time. So in Ypsilanti, it's about 30.4% of the adult population. And so there is a natural need of our stakeholders in this community right here, without going any further than just our immediate community, to provide things that will be of usefulness to them and help them with their particular situation. Moreover, that population will continue to grow. So of the children born in this country, about 3.4% are the most severely disabled with autism, cerebral palsy, or Down syndrome. But when you add up the different levels of disability, all the way out to attention deficit disorder, you're talking about nearly 20% of all children in this country. On the other side of that, you have the baby boomers aging, over 70 million people. And of those who are aging after 65 who have never been disabled in their lives, the projections from both the federal government and some private insurance companies are between 1/3 and 2/3 of them will become disabled for the first time. So this is an enormous population, an enormous set of needs, and what we think of is that we need to be out there in the front to make sure that they're serviced in advance of when they need it.
And for the viewers, can you expand on why this center is so important for our community?
If you have a special needs child, what you mostly experience is the parents or immediate family are preoccupied in their daily activities with just taking care of them and trying to give them the most normal lifestyle possible. But after you're gone, after the parents die, the child is going to be an adult and is going to need something to be done for them. And you don't want to leave that to chance. And particularly, you don't want to leave it to just what might be available in public services. So we teach people how to save, how to plan, how to invest, and how to reduce their risks and the kinds of options available to them. We don't do the advice. We give them the education so they can make better choices about the advices that are out there.
Yeah, and excuse me, that leads me to the question of types of information with families with special needs. What specific types of information do they need to make them a little bit more engaged and better understand some of the challenges as well?
One of the things is to know they're not alone, because when you are preoccupied with taking care of a person with special needs, you become much more socially isolated. And to the extent that you aren't socially isolated, you're usually only interacting with other people with special needs families. And so you're a little bit out of the mainstream. And so what we're trying to do is make them know that there are answers available to their concerns, and that there's long-term planning that integrates their financial needs, their savings needs, who's going to take care of, who's going to live where, and what their options are. And their options are quite wide-ranging, but if you're not familiar with them, you might think there's just one or two options where there might be many more.
Yeah.
And what are your personal goals for the future of the center and its expansion?
In a perfect world, there will be no difference between how a person with disabilities lives and integrates into society than any other able-bodied person at all. We're not there, and we may not ever get there, but that's going to be the goal. Seamless integration of people with disabilities throughout their lifetimes as full-fledged members and citizens of the body politic.
Everybody has to have that opportunity to certainly get an education. Everybody has the opportunity to grow in our society, to be fully recognized. And we know that in our society, people have different needs. And as you're talking, this is very humbling. It's very, I'm not actually speechless, but I don't always get speechless, but as part of this conversation, I actually am. And I know that you're looking for potential organizations and sponsors and others to get involved. Here's your opportunity to make that pitch to our viewers and those who might be paying attention as well.
This is one of the exciting things about the unique aspect of this combined sponsorship between the College of Health and Human Services and the College of Business. So normally, if you're in the College of Health and Human Services, you might seek grant funding from the federal government for a project. You might look to philanthropic organizations like here in Southeast Michigan, the Mott Foundation is a great example, who are used to spending money and investing in these kinds of things to help people with special needs. But when you bring in the College of Business, you recognize that there are financial planning firms who are in the business of creating products and services to service these people over a lifetime. So for example, the ability to save tax-free under this ABLE Act is something that is sponsored by the state, but what to do with the money and how to figure out how to spend it and budget it is not going to be provided by the state at all. Those retail financial firms, which would be the insurance company, which would be the brokerage houses, they have a vested interest in making sure that this potential market for them is well educated, well informed, and knows what's possible for them. And so we're looking for them as well to join us as sponsors and participants.
Well, and you make a good point. Sponsorship certainly is important. We know the state funding continues to be a challenge across the entire state of Michigan as well as other states. So clearly getting organizations and people involved is going to help us to help you and our university to continue to land this center across the Ypsilanti area, of course. Yeah?
Well, we think so. In 30-plus years of academic study and research in the area of marketing, this has been the most exciting and gratifying stuff that I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it at this time, but this is the need, this is the opportunity, and the time is now.
Yeah, the time is definitely now. And as you talk to other members of the organization, the university, I think you have a co-director as well. Mm-hmm. Let's give her a shout out.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I have some fantastic co-authors. The co-director is Professor Anne Marie Kelly. She literally walked in to say, could I teach business law for you? And as we talked, I found out she has an LLM in disability law. And this is an area that she's been caring about for years. And I said, let's talk about that some more. So now she's on the faculty. She used to be a regulator for the state in insurance, and now she's on the faculty in the College of Health and Human Services. She's the co-director and co-founder of the Center for Special Needs Planning and Policy. And the reason we add the policy in that is that there are financial implications of all legislation that deals with special needs, but they're not often thought about in advance. And so we can do the research on the impact of those things economically, financially, and for caring for people that is independent of a political persuasion on either side. And hopefully that information will be helpful to people in Lansing and elsewhere to make changes to laws to make them even more effective than they are intended to be right now.
Well, as people are sitting back and listening to you, they're getting interested, they want to get involved. Where can they get more? How can they get more information? A phone number, a website that they can go visit?
Right now, the quickest way would be to contact me in the Department of Marketing directly at the College of Business, and that is what, 734-487-3323. Or you can just go to our website at the College of Business, navigate to marketing, find my contact information and click on it and send me any information that you'd like to know more about.
And that's Dr. Lewis Hershey. We want to thank you very much for coming in and giving us information on the Special Needs Planning and Policy Center. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Absolutely. And what we'd like to do is to share with you what the EMU Choir is doing. They've had some wonderful performances across Metro Detroit, across the state of Michigan. We want you to sit back and relax and enjoy this performance with Jaden Shorts doing the introduction for the EMU Choir across Eastern Michigan University.
I actually think what keeps students coming back and motivated is the level at which we articulate and perform. We're really interested in doing things at the highest possible level.
Hi, I'm in Pease Auditorium, where Eastern Michigan holds many of their choir concerts. Today I spoke with Brandon Johnson, who is the director of all choral activities at Eastern Michigan University. We spoke about where the program is now and where it is heading.
My favorite thing about being a university professor and getting to work with students of this age is the growth that I get to see from the time they arrive on campus to the time they leave campus. To watch a student come into their musical confidence, to develop their musical imagination, to build the skills, the singing skills and the conducting skills, the teaching skills necessary for them to go out and be contributors in their own communities, where they go back to chase the things that they're passionate about. We have always got something exciting right around the corner. In the last 6 years, we've taken 2 international tours. We've sung at Carnegie Hall. We've toured all across the country. Later this spring, we'll take a 10-day tour to the West Coast, California and Utah and Oregon, Washington, Nevada. I think that there's a lot of activities in our daily lives where we're just trying to make it through. But in the choral program, we're really chasing excellence. We're trying to do it at the highest possible level. And I think that students find that engaging and exciting, and they enjoy the challenge of it.
Sing, my child, bar 54.
It's an instant family, and a connection that we build musically is often deeper and very satisfying. And like many things in your education, the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. So we've got choirs at a variety of different levels. We've got a jazz and contemporary a cappella choir that meets once a week. We've got a women's choir that meets 3 days a week. We've got a men's choir that's got 100 voices, community men of all ages, that meets once a week. And then we've got the EMU choir, which is really the flagship program for those students who really want to pursue musical artistry at the highest level. We meet 6 hours a week, so 3 times a week for an hour and 50 minutes. and dozens of concerts each year. Well, the Candlelight Concert is a brand new concert for EMU. It combines choirs with instruments. We'll have dancers. We have carefully selected literature components to it. It runs seamlessly from the very beginning to the very end. There's no applause. So when somebody comes to the EMU Candlelight Concert, we hope that they have a sense of the celebration of the holiday season. They have a sense of connection to the music that's performed and to the performers, and all of it is meant to bring, sort of a sense of peace and joy. We have a grand tradition in choral music here on our campus, going way back. If you think about the entire scope of the EMU choral program over the past 150 years, its legacy is one of student growth and artistry, and we're just thrilled to be able to be a part of it.
That was Brandon Johnson, the director of all choral activities at Eastern Michigan University. The choral program has performances all throughout the year. You can check them out on their social media to see when and where those performances are. My name is Jaden Shorts, and this is EMU Today.
Thank you, Jaden Shorts, and that actually was from the rehearsals for the Candlelight program, the EMU Choir. Check them out, they're doing some great things. I am so pleased to welcome back into EMU TV Today, Mr. Rob Murphy, and Rob is the head basketball coach at Eastern Michigan University. Yes. Rob, welcome. Thank you for joining us, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
We're so glad to have you. Tell us briefly, how long have you been a coach here?
Well, I've been a coach here at EMU for 9 years overall, coaching for 24 years from high school to the college level. Come here from Syracuse, got an opportunity in 2011 to interview. I was fortunate enough to get hired, and I've been here ever since.
You've been here ever since, and also we were talking, and you're from Detroit, and I'm from Detroit, and come to find out, we're from the same neighborhood.
Yeah, both from the west side of Detroit, a great area where I was born and raised. Really taught me a lot to come up on that side of town, and happy that I was able to navigate my way out of there and continue to be successful.
Yeah, and we have a very strong bond to Detroit in terms of our basketball program, in terms of the university, certainly the major market in our state of Michigan. And that, before I forget, I got to give a special shout out to the football team for going to Ford Field, and Ford Field was packed with EMU alums. That was so cool to see.
Yeah, and Coach Creighton is doing an unbelievable job. Unfortunately, we were in Las Vegas for a game, but we watched it on TV, ESPN, live coverage. But they did an unbelievable job, very close to pulling that off, but all in all, he's doing an unbelievable job as our head football coach.
So I want to get started talking about your book. What exactly is Deep about?
Deep is an autobiography about myself, Rob Murphy, the life of Rob Murphy. It talks about the challenges I had growing up in Detroit throughout my life and to where I am now. It started with my foundation, the Rob Murphy Foundation, that was created in 2014 with the focus of giving back to the underprivileged youth in the Detroit area and the Ypsilanti community. We've been able to make an impact with thousands of families in those areas. So the next step for me was to write a book to tell my story with hopes to give our underprivileged youth some vision and some direction to follow in order to continue to be successful.
Yeah, and so this is based on your experience with growing up in the city?
Yeah, growing up in the city, obviously I had a really rough upbringing. My mother was killed in a tragic death when I was 13 years old. Never had a father in my life. So I had to make a decision at that point, and I'm very thankful for my high school coach. He pulled me in and told me I was a great leader and a communicator. And if I went to college and majored in education, he would save his basketball coaching job for me. So I took his advice. I went on to college, played Division II basketball, majored in education, came back to Detroit and started teaching and coaching. And from there, I just, continued to make an impact.
And when did you decide that you wanted to write and publish your story for other people to hear?
Well, I always had a story to tell, but through, again, my foundation, being a mentor and a coach to our underprivileged, I just wanted to show them and give them direction and some vision to defy the odds. It's not about your circumstances at the time. You have to figure out and stay strong and overcome those obstacles, whatever they may be. So once I began to put it down on paper, it took me 4+ years to write the book. The first chapter itself took me a year because it was a lot of emotions and hard times that I went through. So one memory led to 2, which led to 10, which before you know it, you got 100 memories, and they all were kind of tough. So once I put it on paper, I knew then that this story would really be impactful, and if I can get it all on paper. So I continued to write, and once it came out, it's been very well received and impactful.
And it's been well received by the community at large, or primarily by the students? Who's really?
It's been huge received, from everybody throughout the country. I talk about, my upbringing, obviously the challenges, always making sure you understand there's light at the end of the tunnel. But as I continue to get into, the challenges in high school, not having parents and being the first in my family to graduate from high school, first in my family to attend and graduate from college, and then just getting into the professional world. And then from the professional world, teaching and coaching, getting the opportunity to go to Kent State University, then ending up at Syracuse University, I get questions of how were you able to get to Syracuse to work for Hall of Fame coach Jim Boeheim? So I talk about the professional experiences as well, those obstacles and challenges of just putting yourself in position by building relationships, making sure you treat people the right way. You never know who's watching you. So just overall life aspects. So I've had a chance to tell the story, and again, from people from the West Coast, whether you're in college basketball, whether you're in high school or youth programs, they've all given me great feedback and tell me how they enjoy reading it and how it's inspiring and motivating.
And without getting into the particulars of the book, because we want people to purchase the book, give some advice and counsel to our young people who might be watching. They've been in that challenging situation, or thinking about going to college, but they have some self-doubts.
Again, what my coach did for me, it's all about belief, having the desire and the passion to want to be successful. A lot of times we can't see past our environment, so it's always someone that's there, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your coach, whether it's your friend, that's advising you to do the right thing. So once you get opportunity, you got to make the best of it. Once you get in a situation to build relationships, you have to do it. My book touches on leadership, accountability, and just continuing to build relationships and communicate well in order to see past your environment.
So now that you've gone through the process of writing and publishing your own book, do you think you would write again, either expanding on your story or someone else's?
Well, I think I have something left in me. The information or the reviews I've been getting has been great. I just want to kind of let this take a life of its own. After the season, I'll go out and continue to speak and be mentors to the youth in Detroit and the Ypsilanti communities in hopes that I can continue to go to different states and impact different people. So that's my goal with the book.
And I noticed you had the foundation, the Rob Murphy Foundation, and the proceeds of the book here, Deep, really supports your foundation, which serves thousands of underprivileged youth in Detroit and Ypsilanti. So at what point did you decide you were going to start a foundation as well?
Well, I knew coming back to Detroit the challenges I had growing up. I knew how tough it was in the inner city, so I made up my mind if I can start a foundation with the goal in mind to give back to the inner city and the underprivileged. So that was the thought and the goal. So I started the foundation, and we started our gift to sharing event at Bagley Elementary. We have the reading challenge yearly there, and then at Holmes Elementary here in Ypsilanti, we also do the gift to sharing and the reading challenge, and we also work with the Boys and Girls Club. So my thing is just giving back, impacting our youth, continuing to motivate and inspire, being able to see past your current environment, giving them vision and direction, the same thing my little league coaches and my high school coach did for me. And if I can give that and give back and continue to motivate and impact, that's what I would like to do.
And when we think about the big cities and the challenges that the young people have, I got to tell you, Coach, this is inspiring. It's inspiring to hear your stories, inspiring the fact that I purposely didn't want to talk basketball with you. We didn't want to talk basketball with you. We wanted to talk about the life of Rob Murphy and the advice and counsel and what you're doing to give back. And I just think that that's so interesting, and we want to give you all the kudos in the world for doing that. If people want to purchase the book and get more information about it, where can they go?
Oh, well, you can go to Amazon. You can go to robmurphyfoundation.org. And if you just Google it, it's on pretty much every site, from Barnes & Nobles to Target to Walmart, and it's available nationwide. So again, I'm very thankful. Even in my job and where I sit here being at Eastern Michigan, a great opportunity that was given to me. I'm super thankful of Dr. Smith and his wife for their continued support, Walter Kraft, and it all starts at the top, and then you have Scott Weatherby in our athletic department, and then all of our coaches. We come from like an underdog mentality. We do everything we can to give back. Here at EMU, I give everything back I can to the underprivileged community, and I think that's my calling, and that's what I'm here to do.
So it's obvious with your book that you're hoping to inspire other kids. Do you think that you had any role models personally growing up that helped you become the person you are today?
Yeah, well, for me, again, I had a really rough upbringing, and I can't thank my high school coach enough.
Which high school?
Mumford High School. I played for Vanez Jordan as my basketball coach, and he seen something special in me. He was really honest. He said, "You're not going to be a professional in either sport," because I was a football and basketball player. But he taught me what you can do to be impactful is major in education, come back to Detroit and start teaching and coaching. Because of your leadership skills and your communication ability, you can make an impact here in your own city. So I took his advice and majored in education, and again, I came back, and I've been in the coaching and mentoring profession ever since.
And I got to tell you, I think as you're coaching here at Eastern, you've taken some of those life's experiences as we wrap up, and probably sharing some of those experiences with some of the players as well.
Yeah, well, we have what we call our boardroom talk, where our players are reading the book just so they can understand, and I can share some of my examples and let them know where I come from, because they have obstacles and challenges as well. We had great academic success over 8 years, 96% graduation rate. We've graduated 30 of 32 of our student athletes over that time, and they're doing well in the community. We're competing on the floor. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to continue to make an impact.
Well, Rob Murphy, head basketball coach here at Eastern Michigan University, we want to thank you for coming in. We're going to encourage all of you to go out and get this book, Deep, which is now available at the robmurphyfoundation.org. The proceeds, again, from the book will help raise money for the Rob Murphy Foundation and serves the underprivileged in Detroit as well as Ypsilanti. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for having me, and
My
thank
pleasure.
you as well.
Absolutely. We want to thank you all for tuning in this month for EMU Today TV, and we want you to sit back and enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and of course, we will check you out next time with another special edition of EMU Today TV. And we will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.